Folks, again, carry on from yesterday. Thanks for everybody coming. Chief, I know you're probably one of the busiest guys in this city, so we appreciate you taking time and interesting and to get in discussion with you here later. What we have is, we were talking about literally the bar war star scene of future stuff here. So we've got academicians, business folks, military, kind of a joint flavoring of the military, some students, instructors, and so we're trying to make sure we don't have group think, a lot of think tank place folks here, et cetera, like that. And some of you, this is your first time doing one of these mad scientists. As I said, when they first got here, was that the original name, Tom? Because you were telling me about it, and I said, oh, it sounds like a bunch of mad scientists, and now that's it. And it's a term of endearment. And Chief, as I said, is compared to a room full of mad generals, which Chief and I are sometimes sit in those meetings too. Yeah. I think what is important as we go through this, and we had discussions yesterday about, pretty hard just to nail the future. It's going to be this and 2030 or 2040. But what is very important, especially for large organizations, and difficult for large organizations historically, and especially an organization that by nature is conservative with regards to sort of rates of change. We have lots of people that we have to interact with, OSD, the White House, Congress. The chief, contrary to public opinion, can't just snap his fingers like that and make things happen unless in TRADOC. We respond that quickly in TRADOC. But the rest of the Army, they're working, they're trying to catch up. The chief's always telling them, why can't you guys be like TRADOC? FORSCOM used to be that way, yeah. But what I think is important and is illustrative by all you folks being here is that organizations like us, we're going on our 242nd year now, enrolling, that we have a process to continually look at the future, really continue to question some of our assumptions, and continually improve ourselves, because there's not just the one day we make the decision, this is it, I'm going to double down on red, put all the money there, and boom, we'll see how this works 20 years from now. And so that's why it's very important that we have a group like this with folks that look at things maybe quite differently. They can sort of help red team us as we go forth, and that we have institutionalized a way to not only take a look at the future, question assumptions, look at trends, but then work them into how we build the future. You don't just arrive at the future, you have to build it. And so the chief leads us through this paradigm we talked about yesterday: think, learn, analyze, implement, rethink, reanalyze, implement. Don't ever think you've got it right. In fact, always think that you're off just a little bit. And then do you work in the rest of in our case, the Army, to reinforce that? So every time you do a combat training center rotation, AWA, NIE, lessons learned, Afghanistan, et cetera, do you work it in as part of an observation and part as a way to look at where you are and are you headed in the right direction? And what are indicators both now and history does provide, I think, a lens to look at indicators that maybe you have it wrong. Maybe you have drunk the Kool-Aid. Maybe you were blind to something because you had so many sunk costs into one thing that this other thing was staring you in the face and you just didn't want to address it because you had so many sunk costs in this and you're moving forward. You love the plan. The POM is built. The doctrine is written. It's just too late to change it and get on with what is actually going to happen. So because of that requirement to have a process to continually build the future, not arrive at the future, but build the future, these mad scientist conferences I have found to be particularly useful. If nothing else, the networking we get, I do appreciate after these, you all continue to stay plugged in. I think our last one was out Arizona, and we did the mega cities one, and actually we're going to go there, a lot of different insights on that. And to kind of do a quick infomercial on that, do we have the video teed up? And all I say is run it. And this is, I think, the best of from the mad scientists.
TRADOC G2's Mad Scientist Initiative is an ongoing dialogue helping the Army think about the future operational environment. This includes the effects of all aspects of technology on armed conflict in the far future. It brings together industry, academia, government, and non-traditional partners by encouraging continuous learning, adaptation, and innovation, resulting in a broader engagement in problem solving.
You want it to almost explode, and that's why I like this name, Mad Scientists. You need to really stress and push the limits here of your thinking. You must assume.
Cyberspace is a human space, and megacities are becoming its preeminent battleground.
Plus computers against humans plus computers. And a human plus a computer far outpaces a computer, and it far outpaces a human.
Mad Scientist supports the Army's Campaign of Learning, 2025 maneuvers, and capability development. From our first event in 2015 through today, Mad Scientist has worked to gain and maintain an understanding of the far future operational environment and the underlying technology evolution.
What you're missing here is the advantage of speed. The fact that autonomy can help compress decision cycles, allow warfighters to process information much quicker, and in swarming behavior, push reactions on the battlefield closer to the battlefield's edge to accelerate the pace of reacting to the enemy.
If you harken back to the transistor and how that caused the and how that revolutionized everything and brought us where we are with computer technology, that has generated trillions and trillions of dollars in the United States. And of course, these revenues have then been funneled where they need to for our military and so on. So definitely an economic advantage. And of course, what's the advantage to research and development? You know, China doing all this research. Well, let's say we do come up with a quantum network. This could potentially help China to expose weaknesses in a network as they continue to push forward.
But by 2025, I argue that the United States needs to shift predominant focus from U.S. technological dominance to a U.S. allied dominance. What is going to help benefit both the United States and its allies so that we are more capable, united, and strong together to provide a great deterrent force against any U.S. adversary.
The problem in the cognitive domain, I don't know what cognitive shoe size you are, okay? I can't, you know, we can measure the feet. I haven't measured how you think, how you feel. So the point is, those of us in industry, those of us in training, those of us in education, all generically teach to a size 9 shoe size.
So he talks about a cognitive shoe size as a metaphor for measuring and understanding an individual's cognitive entry point into the military, as you might for physical characteristics, right? But in light of neuroplasticity, my recommendation is that maybe we change the metaphor a little bit slightly and actually think about an individual's cognitive fitness level, sort of measured through the equivalent of a, neuroscience equivalent of a personal fitness test, right? So this would include not only overtly cognitive aspects, but also emotional and pro-social aspects that are important to leader development in our complex military environments. A cognitive fitness level would leave plenty of room for improvement and increase fitness levels. This should be something that we measure and track longitudinally in all soldiers.
So what's the takeaway from this, and how do we turn this and institutionalize this? There's three things that we think should be needed. Firstly, I support General Palmer that we need to bring in a gym. Cognitive training integrating into your programs is fundamental to the future of a soldier. The second is to add biometrics. Again, knowledge is everything. Understanding the condition of your soldier like you understand the condition of readiness of a jet is the same thing. The third thing is that I don't think we should be afraid to look at optimizing performance readiness. To assume that the soldier is always on and engaged and in full readiness position is a little bit antiquated. We really could use knowledge to confirm that he is, and if not, help him to get there.
One of my favorite quotes was from Peter Drucker, who famously said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." You know, you can have the best plan in the world, but if you don't have the culture that is able to take advantage of that strategy and leverage and execute that strategy, it's not going to do you any good. And right now, we as a country are obsessed with companies that have a culture that can take advantage of innovation. Companies like Apple are so successful and so admired because of their ability to take advantage of new ideas.
The human beings that are arriving to us now, they're not the same species as you. They're Homo sapien sapien.net. I mean this in all seriousness. They are not the same species as you or me. They have never lived without access to some kind of a virtual supercomputer attached to their body. We have to figure out what that Homo sapien sapien.net is. How does that person learn? How can that person be influenced? How can you communicate with that person? And so the conflicts of the future are all going to have to then realize that there is a huge transformation in human evolution. People never had any of this before.
Everything is increasingly aware. Everything becomes a sensor. Everything goes everywhere. How do you integrate that and how do you migrate through that fog? So whether it be in terms of real-time sensing of the health status of an individual with essentially a smart Band-Aid type system that you can actually monitor the state of health of an individual, and sweat in particular is a valuable indicator, but it's more than that. It's biometric, it's cyber, it's psychological, it's biographical, and clearly we need to know who the friendlies and neutrals are versus the bad guys.
I care about having your entire mission organized in space and time. Why? Because everything on Earth exists in space and time. Literally everything, by definition.
So it cannot be overstated, the requirement to have a training venue where students can conduct an urban terrain model and be immersed in the city. You can watch a video, you can look at a picture, but you will not gain the same appreciation once you emerge in the cities.
The TRADOC G2 Mad Scientist Initiative is an innovative way of understanding the future operational environment. It brings together non-traditional partners and encourages broad collaboration. Mad Scientists, identifying tomorrow's key innovations today.
So kind of some snippets of previous mad scientist conferences to kind of contextualize it, to say this is a little bit more than just military tourism, bringing in interesting folks and listening, that a lot of these things are being operationalized as we speak already. You saw the discussion about, cognitive gymnastics. Actually, the chief has us working with the War College, and we're revamping our GO leader development, professional military education, to raise the bar, to add some intellectual rigor in it. We're doing the same thing at our captain's career courses. A lot of the things you see here are now being operationalized. The megacity stuff, the robotics and autonomous strategy that we're putting out, is we are taking bits and pieces of this and actually turning it into either strategies or programs that we're working in the Army. But almost equally important, I think, is sort of the signal it sends to the younger leaders in the Army. So after I was here yesterday morning, went out to West Virginia, where we have our senior leader seminar with sort of our up-and-coming colonels that we think have great potential. I think, was Joe out there? I think my XO was out there, the chief's XO. So we hand-select some folks to go out there, and I had lunch with some of them ahead of time, and a lot of them are kind of just post-brigade command, and they're kind of making that transition from, focusing very much on tactical now possibly into the enterprise level. And what they're saying is that they said, sir, how do you balance sort of dealing with the crisis of the moment, the whack-a-mole thing, and then being able to look long-term, et cetera? I said it takes discipline. I mean, you have to do it. You don't have to have discipline to focus on the immediate. You just have to have energy, because the gravitational pull will pull you to the immediate. It does take discipline longer term. You have to have a process, and you have to have something that is pulling you there, either people or processes or something, or examples like this that pulls you out of the immediate and lets you take a look at the immediate and kind of, as it looks to the future, are you moving in the right direction? And so I told them, I said, well, actually, I just came from a mad scientist conference, and then tomorrow the chief is going to be there, and then actually in the afternoon I'm going to be in the chief's office, and we're going to be doing a pre-brief on the futures brief, which is tomorrow for the whole Army. And actually these colonels said, really, you guys spend a lot of time. We wondered if anybody was thinking about the future, because they don't see that kind of stuff. What they see is, they're in the motor pool fixing tanks and doing all kinds of things like that. And so it was encouraging them that even people that are very busy understand that somehow they've got to carve out some time to focus on the long term. And so that's why, if nothing else, Chief, it helps me reinforce to everyone else when you can come here and spend some of your time, because in large organizations, it's hard to sometimes get leaders to do that. And as the Chief reminds us, the United States Army is probably one of the largest organizations in the world, except for the Chinese Army and the Catholic Church, right? But I'm not sure the Pope has ever been to a mad scientist conference. So Chief, even though the Catholic Church may be a little bit bigger than the United States Army, I'm giving you credit for spending a lot of time on the future. So as the Pope of the United States Army, welcome the Chief of Staff of the Army for spending time with mad scientists, Chief.